Hello and welcome everyone to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined as always by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Ash Paulson and Steve Bowling, as well as our very special guest, Naveed, content creator, streamer, gentleman. Welcome, good sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You actually just did a recent stream of showing off your entire Wii collection, which apparently is pretty massive. You had to break it into 2 parts, right?
I did. I massively underestimated how long it would take to go through those. I have like somewhere like 180 Wii games, something like that.
Oh my God.
But I did not expect it to take as long as it did.
Is it all shovelware or is it actually good stuff?
No, I try not to get shovelware. Like, there's obviously a couple things in there. Like, I have like a Gold's Gym fitness game and like Flip's Twisted World or something like that. But most of the stuff is pretty good, in my opinion.
Nice. Do you have Grill Off with Ultra Hand?
I do, on the digital store, yeah. I was just showing off my physical stuff, though. I don't have Doc Lewis's Punch-Out, though. I never got that one.
I never got that either, so I missed
I got the
out.
Mario hat instead on Club Nintendo.
I feel special that I actually managed to get that. Doc Lewis's Punch-Out is like my digital crown of my collection. The one thing, you know what I have to ask, though? I have to ask this to anybody that collects Wii stuff. Did you manage to get the Punch-Out glove that Amazon had for a while?
No, I do not have that.
Oh man, I wanted that so bad.
Was it a pre-order?
No, it was a weird thing where they offered it was an Amazon specific special edition of Punch-Out where they included a signed Little Mac boxing glove. So it was like a 1-to-1 real life. You could actually put it on boxing glove with a fake Little Mac signature on it. And I wanted it so bad. And I missed the boat on it. And I think it's worth just a ton of money now. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Nice. Naveed, I have to ask you, is that a Kirby neck pillow behind you?
It's just a big Kirby.
Okay, it's just a big Kirby. Either way, I love it.
It's a Kirby that consumes something. I don't know what it consumes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna spit at us anytime now. It's like a camel. You just gotta watch out.
Yeah, I feel like it's like Kirby mid-consumption when he's like, you've sucked something up, but he can't actually fly because he's like, I think it's like that.
I get from that I'm not a Kirby expert, but I feel like that is almost perfectly one of the frames that you see when he is, for lack of a better term, expelling something that he's eaten. Like when he squishes down and then the star flies out of his butt. That's what I picture when I see that. But I'm not a big Kirby boy. But I will say that it's one of the most cute Kirby plushes I've ever seen. It has some Snorlax vibes to it for me. I like big chunky boys.
Yeah.
I have a Snorlax plush as well, just like outside.
See, we do a man of culture right here.
I love this Kirby plush too because it's in like the running pose, so the legs are kind of like offset. So if you look at it from the side, it just looks like it's running. So.
I do feel a little insulted there, Steve, because I've had multiple Kirbys displayed on here. I've had Cupid Kirby, Chef Kirby, Sword Kirby, what is it? The other one? Archer Kirby. And then I have Mark's, cutest boy of all.
Mark's Cupid Kirby, right?
Listen,
Cupid.
I don't need to break down the science again, but fat mascots are better. There's no denying it. I've done research on this.
I share that disgust, Derek, because Kirby is my favorite Nintendo character of all time. And I was just thinking, Steve says he's on a Kirby boy, which means that when we are finally all able to get together and do stuff in the same room, we're streaming a Kirby game with you, Steve. It's happening. It's going to happen.
I mean,
I'll play it.
The only four-player one that I can think of offhand is Return to Dreamland. Is there another one?
Star Allies.
Amazing Star Allies. And also Amazing Mirror. But Amazing Mirror is a nightmare of hooking up Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Star Allies would be the easiest. Yeah.
But yeah, well, before we get too much further into this, we are, of course, sponsored this episode specifically by The Game Orb. And The Game Orb is a fledgling channel focused mostly on Nintendo content, and it's currently running Let's Plays of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Splatoon 2, Smash Ultimate, Super Mario 35, I think those are still uploading, and more. So be sure to subscribe to the Game Orb at the link in the description. We've got them past 200 subscribers. They are up to 212 right now, so well on the way to the 250 that we're shooting for now. And, of course, continue to show them the GV Gang's support. But they also want to promote their friend's YouTube channel, Galactic Reaper. And we'll have links to those in the description as well as pinned in the live stream right now. So
They're
yeah,
posting
and
gameplay of Pac-Man 99.
nice. And Galactic
Yeah.
Reaper is actually getting is almost at 50 years themselves. They're over halfway there. So that's
Hell
good
yeah.
stuff. Good
Yes.
stuff. So with that said, there is a lot of news that happened over the weekend. So let's go ahead and get to that with our first bit of news.
All right.
Amazon has canceled the Lord of the Rings MMO due to a dispute with Tencent. But though it is possible that Tencent might continue to go ahead and make it on their own. This comes via a report via Bloomsburg and Jason Schreier. Basically, just yeah. Who even remembered that they announced this 2 years ago? Like that's my big question because I
had a vague memory of it.
Like I heard they were like Lord of the Rings canceled. It's like, oh right, that TV show that they're spending a ton of money on. I guess they canceled that out of nowhere. Weird. And then they said MMO. I was like, oh, that was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is not something I personally feel the loss of. I'm not a big LOTR guy. I'm not a big MMO guy, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who are, hoping this would be a thing, and that's really unfortunate for them. I'm sorry for the loss.
Yeah, I feel like for by and large the ship has sailed for Lord of the Rings content. Like we had Shadow of Mordor, which really kind of brought it back into the public eye, but then Shadow of War wasn't very good, and I think that it would appeal to hardcore fans. And yeah, I'm with you in that, like, if you're a hardcore Lord of the Rings person and you really wanted to play this, cool, but I forgot. I didn't even remember this was a thing at all. So for me, it's not really a loss, but yeah, I mean, it sucks if you were looking forward to this, but Amazon hasn't been able to figure out gaming yet. And I don't know that this would have been the place where they did that.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is just Amazon Game Studios as a thing is just kind of a disaster, right? Because they've had multiple games that they've put up, and I think they've like taken down games that they've released. So, and then they've had multiple games that have been canceled. So,
yeah,
I'm like you guys. I didn't even remember that this MMO was a thing, but I think it could have been pretty big. Maybe I mean, Lord of the Rings is a big franchise, but yeah, I don't know.
It all depends. It's hard to topple the two big MMOs right now, which is WoW and Final Fantasy 14. Like, everybody loves Skyrim, but you don't hear people talking about the Elder Scrolls Online too much. And there's a lot of other smaller ones out there, like I think it's Black Desert Online and a bunch of other stuff. Like, there's possibilities here, but it never felt like could be the next big MMO that everybody got into, especially because apparently it had been in development at Amazon Game Studios alongside the China-based Leiyu Technologies Holdings, which is what led to this whole thing because it was purchased by Tencent, and the resulting contract negotiations led to a dispute between Amazon and Tencent that eventually caused the game's cancellation.
Right.
So,
and Amazon themselves never held the rights to the game, according to ZHugeEX on Twitter. So I guess it's not too surprising that things turned out this way, especially as you're saying, Naveed, with how beleaguered Amazon's game studio has been in general. But it's yet another setback, and it's a shame. It would have been interesting to see what would have come of this project potentially.
Yeah. I just don't know if Amazon really knows how to run their game division very well. Like now they have the Luna, right? Which after what we saw from Stadia, doesn't seem like a very
they might be double thinking maybe that's not such a good idea.
I got into the Luna beta and I tried it, and it had lag that it was just terrible lag. I still stand by the fact that Stadia, from a technological perspective, functions well.
Sure.
I've played probably a couple dozen games on Stadia. I reviewed Stadia back during the press review period, and it worked really well for me. And it works, I've moved house since then, and it still continued to work really well. I think where Google messed up Stadia was the pricing. I think Luna gets that right, but does not nail the technology. And you have to have both of those things for it to work. So, Luna works in a web browser on iOS, and unfortunately that's all I have to test with, really. And I just found it to be unplayably slow. Even on like NES games, they had Contra on there, and I was just like, this runs very badly. I can't I can't play this. They I got the Luna controller, but honestly, my interest just hasn't been there to even try it, to take that extra step. There's nothing compelling about it. No More Heroes 1 and 2 are on there, and I think the most interesting thing about that is that it means that they coded a PC port. Like, it's not... Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think that Luna's going to catch on. I think Amazon doesn't really... I think Amazon sees money in gaming, which, yeah, there's tons of money to be had in gaming, but they don't quite understand what it is people want, and they just kind of keep throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I kind of foresee that the studio will fold before we'll get anything meaningful out of it.
It all depends on how much money Bezos wants to lose. I mean, he can lose a lot and not even notice.
True.
I think I read they were
he
putting
has
in
a game studio.
I think I read they were putting in like $500 million every year into their gaming division. So
God,
they're probably losing a bit of that.
Yeah, but they also own Twitch, so
true. That's a big moneymaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's where they should probably focus their efforts. I mean, 500 million could drive a lot of improvement at Twitch that frankly needs to happen. Maybe hire some more like moderators that are actually people. But I don't know.
Juan in the chat says, I didn't realize this. They say also the Christian Whitehead versions of Sonic 1 and 2 are on Luna. That seems wrong. Why aren't those on platforms that I want to play them on? Yeah, I want to play the Christian Whitehead versions on like anything else, pretty much.
I hear those are like the best versions. Why are they not?
They're amazing. They're I mean, and not just say versions on such. They're great, but the white versions are their own level of just.
All right.
Right. Ash's internet from the beach house is not going well, but at least we got Sonic CD ported.
I love you, Ash, but you are a robot mime.
Is it not happening? Damn it! Sorry, guys.
You're running at a
your sound's working all right, but
right now.
But
okay.
I think you might be a little desynced now, but it's all right.
I can see your eyes.
Either way,
you're back.
I think you're good now. The VOD version will be fine. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next bit of news. And Pokkén, of all things, Pokkén Tournament is what led to Bandai Namco working on new Pokemon Snap. And in the process of the development of new Pokemon Snap, they actually consulted the original developers. So, yeah, I guess good on Bandai Namco. They said, according to director Haruki Suzaki in an interview, Pokkén Tournament utilized Bandai Namco Studios' strengths, and it made Pokemon appealing in a new way. Because of this, we got another opportunity to do something together again, and this led to the development of new Pokemon Snap. We were able to talk to the developers of the original game, and the project started with the involvement of many people. So it's kind of generic there, but it is kind of interesting that like you don't hear people talk about Pokkén Tournament too much. It was a good game, not a great single player mode, but a good game. And it even got ported to Switch, but I don't think it got that boost that a lot of other Switch ports got.
I mean,
yeah,
it's an interesting game insofar as it's kind of like Pokemon Cross Tekken. It's a unique take on the franchise, but I think it doesn't do a lot to attract Pokemon players because it doesn't feel like a Pokemon game at all.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. And as good as Pokkén Tournament and Pokkén Tournament Deluxe are,
Pokemon.
I just couldn't get I don't know. Like, I appreciate the existence of the game. My head would be anywhere close to anything that's not terrible at that game. I was so bad at it, and I don't know. It wasn't for me. It also may have suffered on Switch
because I actually was decent.
You were, right? And I remember you saying that.
I had my breaks in, and I could destroy people with that game. Don't play it much anymore, but I was actually pretty decent at it.
As an aside, I really liked the design of the controller they released for that game. The Pokkén Tournament controller was actually really nice, really comfortable. Oddly enough, was supposed to be set up to have LEDs in it so that it would glow while you were playing it, and they just removed them from the final product. But I liked the game. I could never beat. I I kept trying to beat Shadow Mewtwo the very first time he shows up in arcade, and I could never ever win. I'd get so close, and I just couldn't actually cinch the victory. I'd choke every time. But I always wondered what happens if you beat him in arcade mode, like the very first time he comes up. But
it's interesting that Pokkén Tournament Deluxe didn't benefit from the same, jump to Switch that so many other Wii U ports have. And part of me wonders if the reason for that is because it came out in that kind of early Switch phase where people were just kind of waiting for Smash, right? And I remember when Pokkén Tournament Deluxe was revealed at E3, and it was the first time anybody had seen it, and so much of the chatter around that was like, yeah, that's cool, but where's Smash? And so I wonder if that had a chilling effect on the appeal of Pokkén Tournament Deluxe.
I mean, I would say the problem isn't so much that people were waiting for Smash, because I think Smash fans still buy plenty of other games, right? Like they're big spenders by and large for the most part. I think the issue is that it's based on a franchise that is nothing like that. Pokemon is a JRPG series at its core, and JRPG fans and fighting game fans, there's overlap, but not like it's not one of those things where you'd be like, well, obviously these RPG fans are going to want to buy this 3D arena fighter. Like, that's just not really something that translates one-to-one. And so I think you have a lot of Pokemon fans that probably saw it and were like, yeah, no, not interested. Especially because, you're talking about a series where you have 800 plus creatures and a fighting game where you have the tiniest, like infinitesimally small fraction thereof to choose from.
Right.
So 90% of people's favorite Pokemon just isn't in the game.
How much DLC was there for Pokkén Tournament? Because like I have a lot of Switch games, but Pokkén Tournament DX is actually one of the ones I don't have from Nintendo. And I didn't purchase it just because, like,
was there?
I don't think there was any DLC.
I don't think
It
they
added
ever
new
really-
content
Yeah.
for Deluxe. I think you got
Pokkén Tournament
the
came out,
Archer Owl as a new character.
Right, yeah.
Decidueye.
Decidueye.
Yeah, Pokkén came out at a
Mhm.
time where Nintendo was just sending me everything, whether I asked for it or not. And I don't think I got anything for Pokkén from them. So I think if there was DLC, it's minimal.
There is DLC. It's called the DLC Battle Pack. I guess there were two of them. DLC Pack
wow.
1 and Pack 2. I completely forgot about this.
Yeah.
Let's see what they include. Pack 1 included Aegislash, I think. Aegislash is a playable
right.
Pokemon.
Nice.
And then Rayquaza and what's his face? The fake wannabe Pikachu. I can't remember his name.
Ditto.
Mimikyu?
Or no,
Mimikyu.
Mimikyu.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mimikyu.
God, I'm like fake
Yeah.
Ditto.
and then Pack 2 added Blastoise as a playable Pokemon, and then Mew and Celebi as assist Pokemon.
I forgot
so, yes.
that Blastoise was not in the game. It was DLC.
Right.
Whoops. That's cool, I guess.
Real quick, I have a piece of breaking news.
Ooh.
Ooh, we like breaking news.
Actually, two pieces of breaking news. Coop Scrib has edited their pledge and joined the producer tier during the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That happened
Hell
just
yeah.
10 minutes ago. And even more recently, we have had Dennis J edit their pledge from €5 up to 22, which would bring them up to our executive producer level. So thank you so much. Your name will be in the credits of tonight's episode, the VOD version.
Yes, indeed.
Nice.
Thank you
But,
very much.
Thank you. That's
Can you
awesome.
pop that in
Welcome
there,
to the EP
Ash?
squad.
I will do that. Yeah, problem.
Thanks. Actually, I'll
By the
do
way,
one thing-
I stand corrected. It was Mega Rayquaza added in Wave 1 as an assist Pokemon, not Rayquaza.
okay.
Yeah.
Aldudo mentions that the game sold over 1 million units in 6 months, but also 6 months after the game came out, Smash was announced. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll
Right,
happen.
right.
I guess it did okay. Just it's not really in the headspace anymore. It's more the thing, with how that goes. But I have a feeling people are going to be talking a bit more about new Pokemon Snap, which looks delightful, by the way.
Oh man, I can't wait for it. I'm really excited to try it. I wish though I saw a story that Lawson, which for those of you that don't know is like a very ubiquitous convenience store chain in Japan, like a one on every corner type of situation. Lawson will be getting new Pokemon Snap print stations. So if you live in
Ooh,
Japan
that's
and you're
fun.
playing new Pokemon Snap, you can literally relive what we were doing here in the U.S. at Blockbusters and stuff. And
We
print
got to go
off
to the
your
last
picture.
Blockbuster and print it out.
Bend, Oregon.
Exactly.
There you
Man,
go.
I would love it if they did that. If Nintendo was just like one only in Oregon, I would go. I would absolutely go. That would be the first and well, not the only time, but the first time I would do a vlog style video for GVG if we could go print Pokemon Snap video or photos in Oregon. If you could print a
Right.
video, you'd win a Nobel Prize.
What are your feelings on new Pokemon? I see the Pokeball, so I have to assume you're a bit of a
Yeah.
Pokemon fan there.
Yeah, I've kind of like I've been less excited about the series in general as I've grown older, but I still love Pokemon, and Pokemon Snap is one of my favorite N64 games.
Nice.
I didn't get an N64 until the GameCube was out, and Pokemon Snap was one of the few games I did get. So I'm all about new Pokemon Snap. I can't wait for it. And honestly, I never really put two and two together, but the art styles of Pokkén and new Pokemon Snap are kind of similar. They have like a
They
kind of
really
a
are.
flatter look to them with the colors and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I mean this news kind of makes me even more excited knowing that they
Nice.
talked to the original devs and stuff and got some ideas from them. So
It's so interesting because somebody mentioned in the chat before, and I'm sorry, I think it was Odd Doodle, but I can't remember specifically. But I did look up Haruki Suzuki's credits, and he's mostly fighting games because he was director on Soul Calibur 5, then Pokkén Tournament and DX, and now this. He does, game producer and stuff like that on others, but mostly those are his 3 directing credits.
One of the things that I find really interesting is just the level of trust that Nintendo is placing in Bandai Namco. I mean, we've talked about it. I jokingly said that Nintendo should look to acquire them. I don't think Bandai would ever go for that, but man, it is getting. I think they are the coziest third party Nintendo has ever had in their history at this point. I mean, they have been handed blockbuster franchise after blockbuster franchise to work on. Sorry,
Metroid Prime 4 was a Bandai Namco thing first, right? Before they started over.
Originally.
So
I think the only other developer.
Sorry, guys. Ash is on dial up right now.
He seems like it. All right. Well.
If we were still on the old style of naming these episodes, it would definitely be Ash has become a robot.
Yeah.
TNT episode.
That's for sure. But either way, I'm down for more new Pokemon Snap. I don't like the name, but hey, bring it on. Let's see if it comes together. And if Nintendo did purchase Bandai Namco, by the way, Steve, that'd be weird because that would mean that's Nintendo publishing stuff like Tekken, Soul Calibur, Dragon Ball.
The funny thing is, if Nintendo somehow snagged the exclusive rights to Dragon Ball games, I would be living my best life, man. Some of my favorite Dragon Ball games are on Nintendo platforms. Like the original SNES or Super Famicom, in this case, Dragon Ball games were incredibly fun. I would love to see a return to like a good... And I absolutely respect and love what Arc System Works has done with Dragon Ball with fighters, but I have like a lot of love for the old school 2D SNES Dragon Ball fighting games. The ones that were more slower, more methodical, that were definitely trying to get some of that Street Fighter money. I liked those games, and I would love to see a return to those. But, I don't think Bandai would be smart not to get fully in bed with Nintendo. Uh-oh. Man, Ash's internet went down so hard, he is... just straight out of here. So I'm just going to transition to the 3-person frame. Godspeed, Ash. We hope your internet comes back.
Doodle mentions that Bandai is legitimately a Disney-level mega corporation in Japan. So Nintendo could never really do that, which makes sense to me.
I mean, Bandai also makes Disney games in Japan. So
there you go.
It's like if Square Enix got acquired, like that rumor that was out.
They were quick to just that's not a thing.
Yeah. I don't think that would ever happen. And Nintendo doesn't really buy a lot of
not really.
Smaller devs. Like Next Level Games was the only one
recently.
So
exactly. Well, While Ash figures out what's going on, let's go ahead and move on to our next bit of news. So the creative director of Days Gone has vented about the lost sales and players needing to buy games at full price. Now, I didn't use the headline used for a lot of places, but because they were saying how they says gamers should, don't complain if there's no sequel, but if you don't buy it at full price, it's like you read his comments and there's definitely an anger there. I feel like there's definitely like I believed in this product, I wanted it from it, but it just didn't come together. He actually he was speaking the game David Jaffe on Jaffe's YouTube show, and he said he was asked if he heard anything about meaningful uptick of engagement with Days Gone since it was added to the PlayStation Plus collection on PS5, and he said, "I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some of them off. If you love a game, buy it." I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, "Yeah, I got it on sale. I got it through PS Plus, whatever." But how do you know I love a game until you've played it? Jaffe responded, and all he said was, "I'm just saying you don't, but don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch. It's like God of War got whatever number of sales at launch, and Days Gone didn't. I'm just speaking for me personally as a developer. I don't work for Sony. I don't know what the numbers are." But then he goes on to mention that there's a lot of piracy for Siphon Fell to Dark Mirror, and they were shown torrents where a torrent site had 200,000 copies of Dark Mirror being downloaded, and that's a lot of lost sales for them. So I can see the frustration where he's seeing like this, like, hey, buy our games. But I'm curious what you guys think.
I honestly think this is a really crappy take. I think that don't pirate games. That's a slam dunk. That's easy. If they're available legally at a reasonable price, go get them. That's fair. But telling people that they have to buy your game at full price if they want a sequel and kind of, hand waving away the notion that people should buy games that they're not sure they'll even like for 60 or in the case of next gen now $70. Hell no, that's stupid. Like, one, you don't make your game directly from you don't make your money directly from the consumer. That's not how retail works. They make their money. The developers make their money from stores like GameStop, Target, Amazon, buying up physical copies. They don't get our money. So I'm sorry, if that's pissing you off, David Jaffe. But I don't think that consumers should sight unseen drop $60 or $70 if that's a price they're unwilling to pay. I think you should just, if you're not sure on a game, wait for a sale. So definitely support your developers every time, but just don't rush in paying full price because you think you're going to get a sequel, because at the end of the day, it's not that simple.
On the other side of the coin, I did see, I think it was in that article, they were talking about how Sony has cared so much about like Metacritic and Metacritic averages. And I think that side of like video game reviews and like just putting out video games is really, really unfortunate, because there's so much stock put into this Metacritic average. And I think Days Gone was one of those games that it performed like reasonably well in reviews, but that might have definitely caused sales to fall. But yeah, I don't know, like the actual take of you need to buy our game for $60, that's something I totally don't agree with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Welcome back, Ash.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. I think our internet actually completely died for a second. I haven't mentioned this on the show yet, but I'm up visiting my parents up at the Northern California coast, and the internet's a bit spotty up here. So I think that's what happened, but I should hopefully be good now and not sound like a robot. So sorry for the interruptions, y'all.
No worries. We were just talking about the Days Gone piece of news and the sort of tricky part of all of that. And the thing is, the Days Gone looked like a okay game. I never did really try it myself or anything like that, but we all remember that one press conference where it was just fighting zombies, that whole horde of zombies running through the whole garage or whatever for what was it, 10 minutes, just shooting zombies constantly until every single one was mowed down. And it got a little blasé. It's like, okay, we get it. And it's just every little talking point that you've seen time and time again in one game. It's just like, all right.
I mean, well, I remember I remember exactly what I said that day at the E3 press conference, because I believe that's the game they ended with. And I was felt quite disappointed. I remember exactly saying, well, Days Gone and so am I, because it just did not do anything for me. And that makes it ironic that my internet kicked me out of the show during Days Gone, right? But you know, there's an element of truth, I think, to what John Garvin said in terms of, you know, it's straight facts. If you don't buy a game and it doesn't make money and it's not successful, there's probably not going to be a sequel to it. However, I think the way he delivered that point could have been better and probably could have reached more people if he hadn't done it in such a brash way. But the core of what he's saying is true. If you want a sequel to something, you're going to have to buy it, you know, hopefully at full price. But it's not as simple as that either.
It just comes across as bitter the way he said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it probably is bitter because he also confirmed later in the interview that he has departed from Bend Studio. It was actually based on his personality rather than anything to do with anything with Days Gone. He said it was 6 years of crunch, working on it hard, and there's nonstop pressure with milestones, profitability, people management, and it's a lot easier when it's a smaller studio. But with 100-person studio that he's working with now, because Ben was working on much smaller games before this. I think it was like they went from PSP to this to PS4. That's a hell of a jump. And he actually was sent to classes, to training to try to become a better people person. And here's how you do this, and you go out to lunch and be a better director. And he admitted himself he just kind of sucked at it. So
that definitely comes through in his quote.
This personality,
right?
Yeah. The other thing I want to point out, though, real quick before we move on, is that, I mean, money plays a lot into sequels. There's also the Metacritic aspect of things, but games sometimes, I mean, even unsuccessful games can sometimes spawn a sequel. You know, it's almost like there's no way to read tea leaves in this type of scenario, because you never know when someone's going to say, you know what, this game didn't meet any of our expectations, but we really think that we could do something really special with a second game in the series. And sometimes games you never thought would get a sequel end up there somehow. I wouldn't write off a Days Gone 2 yet, especially, with in light of all the news we've gotten. I wouldn't say it happened anytime soon. But I would be surprised if I bet Sony put it on PS Plus for a reason, not just to give people something nice, right? No corporation ever does something just to be nice. There's always some motivation to it. And I would bet that Sony is paying really close attention to how many new PS5 owners download and how much they play Days Gone, because when you download a game, or really when you use a console at all, Sony knows exactly how much we're playing, exactly how much time we spend on each game. I guarantee you they can tell you, if they're really interested, what parts of a game most people drop off during and which ones keep people playing. They have that data. We give it to them. It's in the agreements we accept when we turn these things on for the first time. So I would bet that someone is gathering data on how all these games that they put in that PlayStation collection are doing, and that will at some point factor into whether or not we get a sequel to any of them, not just Days Gone. But I guarantee you that is kind of a Trojan horse for which one of these gets a next gen, sequel.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go ahead and move on to a little bit of happier news. And LEGO Luigi has leaked. Now, this was getting talked about even before these pictures came out, because there was a firmware update to LEGO Mario, and he started talking about Luigi. Funny that. Well, now we actually have a look at the set, which is the Luigi starter course, and has a pink Yoshi, a Skull Goomba, and Boom Boom. And it's LEGO Luigi,
I mean, okay.
Love this. I don't want it. I don't want it. But
Me neither.
Luigi deserves his shine.
He does.
Right.
I just want to say, I think it's wild that we even have the concept of firmware updates for Legos.
I know.
That aspect of this product is what has me interested. But like, I'm still not going to go out and buy it. I don't have the room for Legos and they're expensive. But it's still a cool thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Luigi deserves it. There, as Steve was saying, I don't want this myself. I still want the Lego Sonic set way more than I want either of these Lego Mario or Luigi sets. But Luigi deserves it. And if Mario's going to have one, Luigi should also have one. I just wish it was like, I wanted to say Lego Super Luigi, right? I want it to be like a Year of Luigi style branding, where it isn't Lego Super Mario Luigi Edition. It's just Lego Super Luigi. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they're not doing that, but I'm sure Lego only has rights to use certain trademarks of Nintendo's or whatever. Right. I mean, but this is like a no-brainer. I mean, all they're doing is taking the exact same stuff that's in Mario. He's the exact same dimensions and just I guess uploading Luigi firmware to it, which is a weird sentence to have to say out loud.
I guess. I mean, the thing is, they can encourage kids to get the Mario one if they have some sort of interaction together where, give him a mansion, a Lego mansion to go through and have him go, Mario.
I would love that. I think that
Mario.
I wonder how they do react. And this is going to sound terrible, but I have to point it out. Mario's sensor for interacting with other Legos is in his crotch. So I'm just saying, if they have some kind of interaction together, hopefully it's a little more wholesome than the only thing I can picture.
Here's a whole new meaning to the move named Green Missile from Smash, huh?
I mean, maybe he has like a QR code on top of his hat. Oh, God. I don't want this to happen. But
have any of you actually used any of this Mario Lego stuff yet? Or is it?
I have. I reviewed both the Lego NES and the Lego Mario set during my time at Game Explain. It's fine as
a playset. It's a playset. It's not the traditional Lego that we're used to.
Right.
Yeah. It's more like a novel kind of thing. Like, oh, hey, you can use Mario with like I reviewed because the Lego NES, you can put Mario into it and it makes Mario sounds. It was interesting, but he uses his crotch camera to read the QR code inside the Lego NES. And I was just like, you know what? This is like cool. And I would consider myself a pretty big Mario fan. I love Mario games. And I do get various Mario items outside of the games. Like I own a pair of Piranha Plant slippers. My favorite slippers I own. I definitely am a 38-year-old man that owns Mario pajamas. I do not want these though. I just have zero desire to actually own them. And once I actually had and used one, that didn't change for me at all. I was just like, this is kind of cool, but it's way more structured than Lego is supposed to be, I think.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is the direction that Lego is going to take in the future with more of their products in terms of the electronic and physical aspect of it.
I hope not.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this for Lego. I like all I want is Peach's Castle, Bowser's Castle, and an airship.
Yes.
I would be tempted by Luigi's Mansion. Like if it was an actual mansion, I would be tempted by that.
Yep.
I would be tempted by a subcon set. Not gonna lie. If they ever, I think it's too deep a cut for Lego. But if they did a subcon set, I might have to go for that.
Yeah, all I know is I'm looking at a space on my roof. I just want to hang the Lego airship from the roof, from the ceiling, I should say, and make that all. That'd be so cool, especially because Mario 3 is the best Mario.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like Mario 3 probably. Well, there's separate rankings for 3D and 2D Mario in my mind.
Right.
In the 2D Mario ranking, I would say Mario 3 takes it for me as well.
Oh wow. Juan says Rosalina's spaceship, Delfino Plaza, Io Delfino set from Legend of Jess.
See, that's
Rosalina's spaceship would be cool.
There's a lot of cool sets they could make, and now we're just doing levels where they like score points, get coins. It's all pretend, which granted is always the way with kids' toys, but I don't know. As an old man, I want to build Lego
Yeah, see, like
sets.
I want the more, I want the more traditional Lego sets where we get something from the games given physical form. I like that idea of Luigi's Mansion. That would probably be my top set if I could get that.
The Delfino set sounds really cool though, because they could you could
It
get like
does.
separate parts of the set, connect them together, and there's the Ferris wheel
yeah.
area,
Peter Park.
the Peter Park. Yeah,
Oh,
that would
man.
be awesome.
Damn,
want
there's
it.
so many. There's so many.
It's
It's funny, like on like when you just start talking about Lego Mario, I don't really care about having a Lego Mario set, but there's so many good ideas for other sets that I would want that they'll probably never do.
Yeah.
real quick before we move on. We have one more piece of breaking news.
Ooh.
Hell yeah!
Kotar
Jeez.
Peck has updated their pledge from $5 at the live audience tier all the way up to $25, joining the EP squad. Welcome aboard,
Wow.
Kotar. Thank you so much. We're excited to have you.
Thank you,
Yeah, seriously.
thank
thanks.
you so much.
Crazy. All right. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next one. We talked about Mario. We got to talk about his rival now. And new footage of Sonic 2's filming has appeared on Instagram with, I guess, a little bit of stunt work, some other set pictures of Green Hills. And the thing that stuck out to to me was they, where they're performing the one stunt, it's the third that come up. There's a store behind them, Mean Bean Coffee.
I love it. That's perfect.
Beautiful.
It's perfect. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like one of those low hanging fruit things, but it's just perfect.
You
Like
know,
it's yeah.
the thing I find interesting is that it confirms we're returning to Green Hills for the
Right.
sequel, because we all kind of thought maybe it'll take place in the world of Sonic a bit more like whatever that alien world he's from in the movies. So I guess that means I'm positing here that Robotnik finds a way to return not just from the planet he's on, but to Green Hills specifically.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And as Kotar Peck has mentioned, and I was going to get to that one as well, there's other set pics of like military hardware, including a tank and a helicopter. But the helicopter is what stood out to a lot of people because it has two things. One, SA2, Sonic Adventure 2, so you got that reference in there. And then it's which is more importantly, its logo. It's the gun logo from Sonic Adventure 2. So Gun is going to be in this one, which I did not expect Gun to show up already.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if it'll
Yeah.
be like an overt thing, or well, no, because it's also the gun logo is also on the tank. I'm looking at it now, so yeah, I would argue that we're probably going to see something overt, like they'll reference guns specifically within the film.
Are you a Sonic fan, Naveed?
I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but I've seen the Sonic movie, and I thought it was a surprisingly fun film. Like it's obviously geared toward children, but I think the best part about these movies is just the references. Like one of the funniest parts in the first Sonic movie was just that dude who was looking for Sonic, and he had the picture of the really crudely drawn Sonic from like online memes and everything.
So much fan service. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to this sequel film.
Same.
But
Yeah, this is one of those sequels that I think really has genuine potential to be even better than the first movie. And the first movie, I think, surprised most people by how good it was. Not amazing, but it was a good kids movie and a good Sonic movie, I think. And I think, yeah, the sequel has every reason that it could actually outshine the original. And we'll see. I really hope it does.
So if we're getting Gun, does that mean we're getting Shadow? Are they putting Shadow in already? Because we talked about maybe Metal Sonic being a thing, but maybe they'll just skip that and like have Robotnik develop Shadow instead.
That would be really cool.
I hope so, man.
if Shadow was in this movie, people would go nuts.
Yeah. I mean, Tails is already here, and that's already cause for celebration. So if they add, we know we're getting Knuckles as well. They had Shadow too. That's a lot of new blood, man, for just the second movie. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest. I don't think Shadow's coming. Not in this movie. Could be wrong.
It feels
Nah.
more like
Glad to be
set up.
wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they want to avoid the Spider-Man 3 problem of having too many new characters introduced in one movie, where it's hard to keep track of what the hell's going on.
Agreed.
Oh, the things they could do with Sonic was by putting Shadow in there. I feel like the third movie is where we'd get Amy and Shadow.
That would be cool.
Yeah, like I was going to say, it would be weird if we got Shadow before Amy. I mean, I feel like Amy deserves a bit better than that, a lot better than that, really.
I feel like Amy and Shadow would be good to introduce together. You could kind of pretend that Sonic, doesn't know that there are other hedgehogs like him within the universe, and then he meets two of them in one movie. I think that would be a really cool plot thread to pull. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll see Knuckles, and he'll be kind of the pseudo protagonist or antagonist of the movie, and then we'll Robotnik or Eggman will come back, and we'll learn more about what he's been up to, and he somehow put Knuckles up to attacking Sonic or something. That's my hope. I want Knuckles to be the bad guy for like the first half of the movie.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah, there's definitely a level where I think they could go too far with like too many characters, like you guys said. But I would love to see like more characters like Shadow and Knuckles in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue our SEGA news, as this one's just kind of weird.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nothing like crazy in the grand scheme of things, but it's just one of those fun things. It's like, oh, that's neat, because SEGA is reportedly launching a new Pokemon arcade game in Japan. Now, it's not really a game in the video game sense. It's a metal game, which basically, you're probably familiar with theirs. They're basically like the coin pushing games that we've seen out here in the West, where you pop a coin in, you launch it in. If you can get it, it will pop out more, and you push it out and you get some, prizes or whatever. And that's all it is. It's just SEGA developing it, and it's Pokemon themed. And they've done a few of these in the past. Likely not going to come out to the US or anything like that, but it's just like SEGA makes Pokemon game. You're like, okay, I got to see what this is all about. So
I want to know what this name is all about. Pokemon Cologalina. Cologalina.
Yeah, I'm impressed you
pronounced it. Well, it sounds like a sickness. Like, oh man, I just went to the doctor today. I got a really bad case of Cologalina, like a colon problem or something. I don't know.
I don't get it. Yeah, but I think it's interesting that I don't know how many arcade games Sega has made with Nintendo, but I know they've had a long partnership, right? Even going all the way back to F-Zero AX and GX, where they worked together on that arcade machine. So it's cool to see that they're still kind of working together on stuff like this, because I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a cool cabinet. I'll say that. There's nice artwork of Pikachu, Mewtwo. It's cool, but the
thing is the hard thing for me about this is that it just reminds me of something we were talking about on Friday in our last episode, and that of course was F-Zero maybe not being dead. And so Sega teaming up to make a Pokemon arcade game just reminds me of Sega, an Amusement Vision making the awesome F-Zero AX, and how I want that again. I want another arcade experience like that again. But Pokemon metal pushing game, that's cool, I guess. I mean, it's great that it's happening, but it just reminds me of things that I want more, which is what's harder about it.
It also it also makes me just wish the arcade scene in America was bigger. Like,
that'd be nice.
That sure would be nice.
As Rob Barman X mentions and is in the article, it's not the first time Sega has made a Pokemon game, because back in 2012, there was Pokemon Metal World that launched in the region to celebrate Pokemon Black and White, which basically same thing.
Right.
So
I mean, it's interesting, but kind of like a non-story kind of thing for us, right? I agree though that the Western,
it's more of like that's cute.
Yeah, the Western arcade scene, we'll never see a game like this, because it's kind of pointless. Like these are things that in the West are relegated to like Chuck E. Cheese's and places like that.
Boardwalks.
Yeah, I would love to see the Western arcade scene, gain a resurgence of sorts. But I guess when consoles became powerful past a certain point, people just started playing at home more. And I think that unlike, in Japan, there's a social aspect to going to the arcade and competing against other people, where I think that in America, it's a competition is honestly just a bit more toxic when it comes down to it. Like people in Japan are very respectful of people they're competing against. You don't hear a lot of shit talk during, in public arcades and stuff like that. Whereas in America, I mean, I remember being a kid in the late 80s and hearing my first curse words in arcades, being like, oh, these guys are angry, So
Yeah.
I get why it happened the way it did with American arcades. They were definitely not the safest of places at times. And I think the issue we have now is that arcades are mostly associated in the West with children as a children's activity. And I honestly just wish we'd get more of like the Dave and Buster's style barcade type of experience, where I think the issue we have is that arcades or barcades themed toward adults typically lean very heavily into retro arcade games.
Yep.
You don't see many of them with modern arcade games, and that's unfortunate. Like I said, if you want to play a modern arcade game, your best bet is Dave and Buster's, and even then it's kind of like, I don't like Dave and Buster's. So
there are very few places to go for that. I've been to a few, and they're also usually combined with like a bowling alley or something like that, and karaoke. So I've been able to play like the Luigi's Mansion arcade game a couple times, because they import that kind of stuff, and they have like the giant Mario versus Sonic at the Olympic Games arcade cabinet. Like they'll bring that one over, but you never see like a lot of the cooler stuff.
I'd like to see Round One continue to proliferate, because Round One is like a more, it's a Japanese company, and thus the games included in its arcade centers are, tend to lean more into exclusive Japanese titles and just, weirder and rarer stuff than you would see at a Dave and Buster's. And so at the same time, though, while I do want to continue to see Round Ones proliferate, even the coolest Round One, as an arcade rat, someone who grew up in arcades, played a lot of DDR in arcades, even the coolest Round One is never going to quite compare to, like a little local seedy hole-in-the-wall arcade. Not seedy isn't dangerous, but just kind of has that feeling to it. And I'm sure anybody who knows the kind of arcade I'm talking about knows exactly what I mean.
I agree with you. My late 80s stomping ground was called Electric Ladyland, and it was in Lancaster, California. And it was the coolest damn arcade. I swear, it had like the cheesy carpet and the dude walking around with like the hip mounted coin dispenser.
The hip coins.
Ah, man. I miss that.
I didn't have an arcade growing up, but I do remember like there was like the best arcade is like ones you see at a movie theater now, where it's like one pinball machine and two really crappy arcade games. But there was, here's really dating myself, when Hills existed, if anybody remembers that chain store.
Hills. I don't know if I recognize
that. Might be an East Coast thing.
It might be an East Coast thing. It got bought out eventually by Walmart. I guess that's what eventually replaced it. They had a little section there where kids could get popcorn, but for whatever reason, they also had Mortal Kombat 2 there, which is the first time I saw Mortal Kombat in action. So all right, that's the extent of my arcade knowledge as a kid. But as far as those weird like Japanese arcade games, I only went to MomoCon once, and the one time I went, they had an arcade section. A lot of cons do that now, but one of the coolest ones I saw was basically table flip the game, where you just meant to stress relief. You put the coins in and you just flip the table. They give you like a scenario where you're at work or at wherever, and you flip it, and the harder you flip it, the more damage is done and you get more points, and that's it. That's all you do is just flip the table.
That arcade game is great because, one, the art style is very reminiscent of like WarioWare. It has like a 2D, and the thing is, as someone who fortunately has studied Japanese and can read it, like I know one specific scenario. I've never played the game, but I've seen it in video, and you're like a salary man wearing your suit and tie, and you've got like a bad comb over, and like your wife and kids are coming in just saying inane, like annoying shit to you the whole time, and you just choose the timing to be like, like flip the table and get out of there. I'm like, I love the vibe of that game so much, and I desperately want to play it someday.
Me too.
I'm jealous.
It was at a MagFest one year that I went, and I could never play it because just there was a huge line.
Oh, there was a massive line for it. The best thing to me was that the First time I saw somebody play it, it was a guy, and bit stronger build than I was, but he did the whole thing and flipped it. It was like, okay, that's impressive. Behind him was a girl, half his size, and she got up there, and I think she had her situation was she was working retail, like at a McDonald's, and annoying customers coming up, and she must have fed into something because she was just screamed, flipped it, and it got she doubled the point score of that dude before her, and it was amazing. Like she had issues to work out, and that arcade game was helping her.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Ditto M in the chat says, yeah, as the resident youngin in the chat, I don't see the point in going somewhere else to play video games when I can do that at home. And from your perspective, I get what you're saying, but like all I can say is that the vibe is different, and there will always be games you can play in the arcade that you can't quite play at home, right? And just it's a different vibe, and maybe you had to grow up with it. Maybe it's not something you can get if you just go to an arcade and you don't. Maybe that's something that has to be ingrained, but
one thing
it's different, man.
Say that helped is as a gamer way back then. You have to remember arcades were popular before the advent of the internet. So a lot of folks that played games, it was definitely a stigmatized hobby. Like you felt like you were an outcast or a nerd or you didn't belong because you loved video games. And that was what you saw in your day-to-day life and on television. Like every gamer was like this Coke bottle glasses, 96-pound burning wet weakling who was always picked on. And because of that, like people would make fun of you if you were out loud saying how much you love video games in public. And you went to the arcade and you realized like, hey, there's loads of normal people that love video games. And that was your only way of really connecting with that. To realize like, no, gamers aren't these basement dwelling, weird, sweaty, awful people like TV makes you think. They're just normal people who have the same hobby we do. These days with the internet, it's very easy to realize like, yeah, gaming's a thing and people enjoy it. And not everybody that plays games is some awkward, man-child. I mean, I am. But
right.
Well, and above and beyond just that base appeal, there's also like, the additional aspect of like if you're in the fighting game community or if you're in the rhythm game community, like even as someone who's like a casual fighting game player, it's different going up and quartering up on an arcade machine and playing with someone right next to you and feeling the rush of victory or the sting of defeat. It just doesn't translate online when you're playing by yourself online against somebody on your TV. Same thing with rhythm games like DDR. As a big DDR player back in my college and high school days, you can play on a soft pad at home and that's fine. It's good for exercise. But when you're playing on a hard pad and you're good and you're drawing a crowd, the rush you feel from that, it is pure adrenaline, and you just can't get it at home. It's just different.
Yeah.
Totally.
One thing.
I think another.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say one thing people don't think about also is back in the day, arcades. That's where you went to see the cutting edge. That's when graphics were at. That's where graphics were at their peak. You couldn't get that at home unless you had like a Neo Geo AES at home. That was like the only system where you could get true arcade perfect.
Oh yeah,
ports.
You were always looking when a port came out, like which one had the least compromises to it. Like where did they cut the fewest corners to get?
And I was so unaware of the arcade scene. I was like, yeah, that looks fun. I had no idea it was like the arcade version was looked so much better until I think I played. I went on a trip and the hotel had TMNT 2 basically, but the arcade version. I'm like, holy crap, this looks amazing.
Yeah,
just blew my mind.
And it's a 4-player, and that's another thing is like there's nothing quite like the feeling of like you see a TMNT machine, 3 of the turtles are taken, or maybe they're not, but you were able to get your favorite turtle, and you're with other people, and it's just like there's an unspoken alliance. You're all playing together to try to beat the game. It's obviously munching all your quarters because those are made to just drain your money, but there's just like an unspoken alliance, this camaraderie, complete strangers. It's not something you can really recreate outside the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, let's go and move on to our next game because there's another experience that was just sort of unique to gaming that we'll see if they can capture again.
All right.
So the developers of Celeste have revealed a teaser image of and their name of their next game. It's Earthblade, though they don't have a actual release date set yet. I think they said 20XX. So,
nice.
Sometime. But it looked, there's not really that much to go on. but it's, extremely okay games making a new game. And these guys are 2 for 2 so far. So yeah, I'm interested.
Same. I
Yeah.
mean, you had me at Celeste.
Exactly.
Celeste is incredible. So that I'm excited about this just based on my love for Celeste because it's such a special singular experience in games. So I can't wait to find out more.
Yeah, I'm a huge Celeste fan as well. And did you guys click on the link to see like the poster art as well? There's a clip of music they also posted
Did they?
from the game. And the music sounds fantastic. It's got like a great atmosphere, but also like it's got other vibes to it as well. It kind of reminds me almost something from Nier Automata. A little bit.
Oh, I hear it. And the composer is Lena Raine, who did Celeste as well. And so, I mean, she obviously fantastic. And
Yes.
you know that just based on the Celeste soundtrack. So I'm into this, whatever it ends up being.
I mean, I do have to point out, being the name of our channel, that they dubbed this a vibe reveal for the game as well. Which,
yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. You could have asked us first. I'm just kidding. We don't own vibes, but I do love the... I do love the general vibe of this. I haven't gotten to listen to the music yet, but I did see the poster art. I love the fact that they're really upfront with the fact that they have iterated on their prototype for this game a few times, and they kind of realized initially they overshot their own capabilities, and they're like, okay, we need to reel ourselves back in to make this game actually happen. And I can definitely identify with that. So I think it's cool. I'm excited to see what they did. Celeste, I never finished it. It was just too hard. But
I beat the main story. I never went back to the B and C sides. But
Me neither. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got what I wanted out of the game with just that core experience.
Yeah.
And Naveed, I definitely hear what you're saying. I just played a little bit of the music, and it absolutely gives me Nier Automata vibes immediately.
Yep. Yeah. I also love the direction they're taking. I guess they said it's going to be sort of like an action adventure, 2D action adventure game, and the logo itself I think is beautiful. It gives me huge like Super Nintendo, Super Famicom vibes. Almost reminds me of like Soul Blazer. So if it's anything like Soul Blazer, like Illusion of Gaia type thing, I'd be so down.
Did you just name drop one of my favorite games of all time, in Illusion of Gaia? I love you. You and I are not best friends. You don't have a say in the matter. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. But I'm just happy to always meet other Illusion of Gaia fans. Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Now it is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very good.
Jeez. Yeah, I am so down for this. It's going to be a while till we get it, but
Can't wait.
I like this. I like this sort of upfront idea of how they went through things, and like, how they were like, no, we're going to be faster this time between Towerfall and Celeste. We can do it this time. And like, oh god, it's happening again because they want to try to find that right balance between the unknown and their comfort zone. They want to try something new, but they also don't want to go straight too far. And I think that's why they've iterated so many times. And I think they can pull it off because, man, I am so down for whatever this ends up being.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just the pedigree here alone means I'm excited whatever this turns out to be.
Yeah.
So, yep. It would not surprise me if we got this in a future indie world or even just a main direct.
Yeah.
I think Indie World is a shoo-in, but yeah, possibly a main direct as well. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the last bit of news tonight. And it's a big one because
This is big.
Sony, thank God, has reversed their decision on shutting down the PSN store for the PS3 and Vita. PSP is still closing down, but no longer are they shutting down the PS3 and Vita stores thanks to all the pushback. Because it's interesting that Jim Ryan wrote this as well. I guess he is the president and CEO, but he's just basically like trying to make his excuses, but like, okay, we made a mistake. We're going to reverse course on that. But yeah, you still only have until July 2nd to get anything on the PSP that you still want.
Now there is some question around that because you can buy PSP games on the Vita store as well. So will you still be able to buy PSP content on the Vita store? In which case, I mean, cool. Like that's that's a net positive. But and I would say that the PSP, understandably, it's pretty long in the tooth at this point. I think it's okay to retire something that old, whereas the Vita and the PS3, I mean, they're still older machines, but they feel too recent to do this.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean,
the other question was like, are the cross-play titles still going to work with the PSP as well moving forward? Because I believe there are a few of those, right? Where you could buy like a PS1 classic and play it on the PSP and the Vita or something like that.
That is a really good question.
So
I
who knows
would
what's going to
think
happen
that
there.
you could at least purchase a game on PS3 and then transfer it to your PSP. I would hope.
Yeah, that's
hope that you can.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, but you just can't buy it natively from the PSP.
Right.
There's a lot of PSP games I've missed out on over the years, though. Like I've not played the Daxter games. I haven't played. There's a lot of RPGs on there. Like the PSP has a lot of great games, so it is a shame that we're losing that. And those prices are definitely going to go up.
I will say I'm about to go buy Crisis Core because I don't think I ever finished it. But...
nice. You should, yeah. Evernight and Sci-Fi Lullabies in the chat bring up a good point. Evernight says they reversed this after plenty of people already panic bought some of the games that were disappearing. And Sci-Fi followed that up by saying the cynical part of me wonders if this was all planned to panic people into spending money before they quote unquote couldn't anymore, when they were always going to keep them up. But that's just me. No. I could see why the cynical part of me could see why that could be a possibility. But I do. This is Jim Ryan, right? I mean, this is we know how he feels about old games that apparently nobody wants to play. I do think that they truly intended to do this, and that they were surprised by the backlash, even though they shouldn't have been.
If they wanted to do this like purposefully, they would have waited until close to like whenever they were planning to close down the store, like in July or something like that. But I was absolutely one of the people just last week went on the PlayStation 3 store, grabbed like $70 to $80 worth of stuff that I didn't have and I wanted. I don't like regret that at all, because I'm never going to find like a Tron Bond physically or anything like that. So I wanted to pick that up, but they got me with it. So
I was doing that whole series, games that you might want to look into and how much they are on eBay.
Yep.
And that was sort of using that own research as like, okay, here's a shopping list. Here's a budget. When I'm ready, let's go ahead and buy a bunch of stuff. But it just didn't come to that yet. I should probably still do that, because there's a lot of great RPGs on this store that you're just not going to get for cheap no matter what.
Yeah.
I think that this was something that Sony absolutely did not expect. They didn't expect backlash. They thought people are too focused on the PS5 for them to really care about the PS3 and the Vita being, taken offline essentially. And I think that Sony realizes that their goodwill can only carry them so far, and frankly people were pinning this squarely on Jim Ryan, the person at the top. And I mean, being the CEO of a mega global corporation or whatever the hell does not mean that you always have a thick skin and can deal with criticism. And frankly, if it means that it gets him to reverse dumb shit like this, cool. I'm very happy.
Yeah. I mean, he had a quote right there so people could target him with "Nobody plays old games anymore. Who cares about old games anymore?" Well, guess what?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis J brings up a good point, saying also, who knows for how long they will keep them up, though. Foreseeable future can mean anything. And I read that. When I read that, I was like, foreseeable future, what exactly does that mean? And I wonder if this is just something they're going to kind of shelve until maybe they have a little less negative attention. Because you remember, this also all happened. It came down at the same time as Sony shuttering a lot of their Japanese development operations, and the Last of Us being remade already, and them refocusing completely on Western development, which is also pissing off a lot of PlayStation fans. So I wonder if all that was just a bit too much at the same time, and maybe they're just pushing this off a little bit until they don't have so much negative attention on them.
They're definitely just pushing it off for a while, right? We don't know how long.
Yeah.
There will come a day when they take down both of these stores.
Yep.
My hope is that this taught them a valuable lesson of the value of these games. Because if I were Jim Ryan and I were sitting there thinking, oh wow, he clearly got the message loud enough to say, okay, let's not close it now. But I hope behind the scenes, as any businessman or business person would do, he thought, man, people still buy this old stuff. We should find a way to sell it on the current hardware.
Right.
Because that is the
Yeah.
obvious step you take. Like, if they tell me we're still going to shut down, like, if this announcement had been, we're still shutting down the PS3 store, but we're making all that content available on PS5 within 6 months of us closing the store down, I'd say, you know what? Great. I'll go buy it at the PS5 store if I want it still. Because honestly, that's how I'd rather have it. I'd rather that these games continue to be made available on whatever the latest and greatest hardware is, so that I can have them, just like with my Steam library. I can buy a game in 2013, buy a new PC 8 years later, and still have access to all that stuff. That is what I think these platform holders need to recognize. Like, if I want to buy Tron Bond digitally, I want to know that when my PlayStation 6 shows up, that I can still play that game. I mean, yeah, I know that it's work to write emulators. Nothing is free, but I guarantee you they'll make that investment back hundreds of times over if they just make those games available across generations of platforms.
But who would want to play these games, Steve? Come on.
Not Jim Ryan. But
Yeah.
You do have to wonder how much money Sony made by people panic buying like this. Because I was planning on it.
I'm very curious.
I was too, man. I was thinking like,
that might also have been another reason for the decision.
Oh, it absolutely money factored into it for sure. I mean, it's a good PR move and one that'll make them money, because they'll still have people will continue to panic buy even now. They'll just say, oh, well, like me, they'll say it's going down someday, so I better get that stuff now, or I already dug out my PS3 to do it, so I'm going to carry all the way through and finish.
Sony was already sort of like shutting down certain things beforehand, like the DLC opportunities and things like that, or updates. If you hadn't fully updated, it's like, no.
Griff, the Wii U store does still work. Yeah, it's still up.
Yeah.
You can only download your games, though, that you own, not purchase stuff. Oh, sorry, it was Wii U. I'm thinking of the Wii. Sorry.
Yeah. Trust me, if I still regret some of the things I failed to buy on the Wii. I got some stuff when I was ending, but I didn't think of it all. So I was like,
yeah. I will say, going back to the PS3 and Vita stuff, like as someone who collects games, I consider myself a collector. Like, I really do hope, at least in the short term, some of these prices start coming back down for the PS3 and PS1 games and stuff like that. Like, games like Folklore, like 3D Dot Game Heroes, they've gone into hundreds already.
Thank God I have 3D Dot Game Heroes physically.
I do too, yeah.
I do too. Yeah.
I got that game real cheap, and I remember I made Cloud with a Buster Sword. I regret nothing. I'm the most unoriginal person on earth.
I love it.
Yeah, and also, this is something they fixed, but hopefully they also fix their whole CMOS battery issue that's recently come up. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
I have heard about this, and there was another story that put out there, but it's sort of unclear, where somebody was asking about this, and a rep said, we are looking into this, and they took it as, oh my gosh, Sony's going to try to fix it. It's like, that seems more like
not
corporate.
So much.
Hey, a rep's like, yeah, we'll look into your concern. So,
I mean, and apparently it's something that could also affect PS4 games as well.
And PS5.
And PS5.
It is confirmed. So Spawnwave did a great video on this yesterday, I think, where somebody actually went through the effort of disassembling their PS5, removing the CMOS battery, and testing it. And I guess that person did not have a physical PS5, so they couldn't test it with an actual disc-based game. But they did confirm that if your CMOS battery dies, downloads stop working. So That is. I think the same issue happens to
the Xbox as well. It came out as well.
Yeah, I would imagine that this will happen to every modern console unless something big changes. And that would have to be at the console's DRM level, basically, like how they validate your ability to play a game. So
yeah,
yikes.
It seems like it'd be a huge legal issue in the future moving forward if this is something that, I mean, these batteries probably last a while, so I'm not sure how many people are going to care in 10 years, 20 years, however long these things last. But I feel like it might be a legal issue moving forward.
Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, if they render your ability to, because essentially I mean, I don't know what the license terms are. I guess I should know that.
Right.
For buying a digital game, right, from any modern digital storefront. But I mean, I don't think that there's a clause in there that says that after X number of years, your license is revoked. Because I feel like that's something that everyone would have heard of by now, right? Like, hey, in 20 years, your digital games, you no longer own them, period. Like, your license is gone. And I'm sure there is something that says Sony can revoke them for any reason, because of course they would cover themselves that way. But they're technically not revoking them, but no longer providing you a means of validating them, which I think would become a legal hurdle down the road for any of these console manufacturers. So before they get sued, they might want to consider, because it really, all it would take is a firmware update, like the console telling the console, hey, this console's dead, so no longer check for license validity. Just let people play the game or whatever. Like you could easily at the end of life of a console do that.
People have tested on the PS4 too. If that CMOS battery is dead, it doesn't even work with physical games anymore.
Yep.
At that point. So
right. Yeah, I had seen a few people saying, well, this is, screw the all digital future, and this is a perfect reason. And I hear you. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the all digital future either, or I hear those people, I should say. But at the same time, this also affects, as we just said, disc-based games. So this isn't quite an example of that, even though it's still.
Or you got to just change
really
the
thing.
Companies to not do this.
DRM has to be far less aggressive than what it is what it comes down to.
Because again, as we've said many times before, you make the game readily available to buy, people will buy it. They won't pirate it. You make it hard, that's when people pirate crap.
Yeah. I mean, there will always be bad faith actors who will pirate things no matter what. But I think the vast majority of people, though, if they are able to buy something easily, they will do so rather than pirate it. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. But
at the end of the day, I'm glad that they've, at least for now, reversed this decision.
I have time to save up some money and get things ready for that. When
I will say, like, the videos you guys made, I think they're still like great resources to see, because it's really hard to parse through the PS3 store, as I found out.
Pain in the ass, trust me.
Yeah, so difficult.
Yeah.
I am not looking forward to it, because I will make one more of those after this news, which is the PSP one with it's actually going out.
Right.
So I'll try to do that, but I'm not looking forward to it. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I also need to test whether it works with both with the Vita and the PSP to see if there's a difference. Trying to figure that out. I don't know. It's something I'm looking at once I get this next review done. So we'll see. But with that, I think we've covered all the major headlines from today's news. But before we sign off, Naveed, where can we find you at?
I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Everything should just be my name, Naveed Mohebbi. So that should be pretty easy, hopefully.
Awesome.
We'll have links to all of it as well, of course. So definitely
in the description below. Right.
You want to see his, what was it? You said 150 strong Wii collection?
Yeah, something like that. I'm thinking about going through my GameCube collection next, which is not as big. But
but the GameCube also had a few less games. I'm just happy for when we have Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, and on GameCube I have Path of Radiance. So
real
good.
Before I have to ask, do you collect Japanese GameCube games as well?
I have like 6 or 7 of them. I actually did a video on YouTube recently. It was my most recent video. I did a video of all of Nintendo's Japanese exclusive GameCube games.
Nice.
So
I need to watch that.
Things like Kuririn Squash and the Donkey Konga 3, which we never got, and Gift Pia.
Oh, yeah.
So
Gift Pia is
really I forgot
weird.
about Gift Pia. Yeah.
Gift Pia is by Skip, the people who did Chibi Robo,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. Yeah, I love that game.
I forgot about that.
Gift Pia and Captain Rainbow are like the two weirdest GameCube games that
Captain Rainbow's badass.
I love both of them. Captain Rainbow is so good.
God,
I need to
play through all of those. I think there's a fan patch out there for Captain Rainbow.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Gift Pia has a translation online, but you have to like actually go to the website and follow through it. So it's more difficult, but you can definitely play it and get through it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, we also have to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, big and small, but especially those at the producer tier for helping to make this show happen. In addition, a massive, massive thank you to the patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine folks include Jared Edinger, Brandon Bovia, Rob Arman X, Itiono Ben, Dan and Twistle, Dennis J, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Adam O'Sullivan, It's ATM, Octopuppet, Richard Herrera, Michael Phone, Floating Mew, Echo Carroll, Christopher, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Nick Waterman, Kitty Kong Fax, Angel Martinez, Vedron Hotek, Macalau, John, Joshua Hunter, Evernight Studio, Benny Yao, Azran127, Ken Relay 09, Jake Pelka, Geller, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Charlie Bird, Lucky Wonderfish, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Douglas Chomix, Andrew Medeiros, RMM, Patrick Harrison, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Fizzy Wakehoid, Flaming Highwayman, Sean Garrett, The Legend of Groose, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, West Egg, Masterlinks, Sean Davis, Deaneth, Jackson Jordan, Michael McCall, Matthew Wong, Ashish Joshi, Goran Amber, Straight Lace, Hooby, Wolf X Blake and Moon Macarons, Kane, Captain Finlandia, 60 Minutes and 60 Seconds, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Revelox, Synchro Lord, Brainchild, Rosa Bowling,
Hi, Mom.
Kotar Peck, Scuff 196, Skull Kid Tiger, AJB Cool, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Phantom Project, Wheezy Penguin, and Anthony Wilson Jr. Thank you all so much. And remember that you too can become a patron over at patreon.com/gvgaming, where you can watch today's News Tonight live for as little as $5 a month. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these. Until next time, good night and goodbye. Good vibes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.